Welcome to the Pre Nup, the wedding obsessed podcast designed to help you plan your dream day. I'm your host, Adriana, and each week I'm joined by the industry's top professionals, celebs, influencers, and friends who are sharing their best tips, advice, and mistakes they've made so you don't have to. The Pre Nup is a Love Stories TV podcast. Lauren O'Brien and Mike Cassara are photographers and hosts behind the wildly popular Vendor Table podcast, where they're known for sharing their incredible wedding tips, sometimes controversial takes, and their knowledge and expertise to their audience of couples who are getting married, fellow vendors, and people who just generally want a good laugh at the wedding industry. I'm honored to call them friends and so excited to have them back on the Pre Nup for the second time. Welcome back, Lauren and Mike.
Hello.
That was such a nice intro. It was like so good.
That was very polished.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed that.
I mean, I meant every word. You guys are killing it. Like, continue to just, every time I go to your page, which is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a week, because you're always spilling out the best content. I'm like, oh, they're just like skyrocketing through the roof. Like, don't forget the little people.
Excuse me. So
You are hardly little.
hardly little. But I remember this correctly. We will never forget the little people. But this one over here welcomed us on her podcast last year. Was it last year?
I think it was last November of
2023. I think we were like in the teens for your episode. And
Yes.
you're like, hey, I find you guys funny. Can you come on my podcast? And we're like, oh my God, you were
Somebody wants us to be a guest?
you were the first podcast we ever got asked to guest appear on. So we were like forever grateful, number one. And number two, like, you're like probably our favorite guest. Let's just be real here.
I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but
Yeah,
I have
we
favorites.
love all our guests.
You know, it's different with us. We have a special bond.
We have a connection.
It's deep. It runs through the soul and the veins. And
We have a group chat.
we do.
Yeah.
Should we tell people what it's called?
It's the Penis Podcast.
I did not come up with that name. Did not come up with that name.
It was a typo.
It was a
Was it?
No, it was like
It was on air, wasn't
it
it?
was on air. It was my fucking fault. Okay, let's just be real.
You did this.
Yeah,
you did
I was
this.
like, you're part of the Pre Nup podcast. I remember it exactly.
And now we're the Penis Podcast. Separately, we're the Vendor Table and the Pre Nup, but together we are the Penis Podcast.
I have some wild
There you
title
go.
group chats on my phone. Man.
I bet you do, miss. Knowing you, I bet you do. Well, I want to get right into it with you guys today because you are such a coveted guest, and I just want your takes on all the things. And we've had some interesting things happen.
Yeah.
lately. So we had last week a bride come forward on TikTok. And by the time this airs, it won't be last week. It'll be like last month. But bride came forward on TikTok saying that she didn't like her wedding makeup. She wanted to wash it off. I'm sure anyone listening knows this, remembers this.
You know the one.
You know the one. You know the one. And she got slammed for it. People did not like that she did that. So you guys, I want to get your thoughts on this whole situation.
All right. So, yeah. So, mean girl energy, number one.
Correct.
Okay. When this girl went on to TikTok to post this video, I don't think she realized the karma that was about to ensue on her. Like, it was so beautiful. But
It was swift.
But when you go on TikTok, right? Let's just say you go on TikTok and you want to complain about something, a service, anything along those lines, especially in the wedding industry. All right. And you go out there and you know you're doing that for likes because let's be real, you know she did.
Well, she said it in the video.
Yeah.
She said,
I can't wait to post this on TikTok. And that's where I'm like, okay, girl.
Yeah.
You couldn't have done the makeup artist the courtesy of just saying, I'm not happy. Either, listen, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to redo it. Or can we fix this thing?
Like, be an adult. Like, that's an adult thing to do.
I think that's the problem. She's
It's like-
21.
Yeah, like, one, baby. Okay.
Baby.
Okay. But number two, it's like, be an adult. And if you can't speak up, you have a team of bridesmaids there that are there to support you.
Yes.
And they should have done the same thing. Like, hey, like, she's not really a fan of it, but she's, like, very shy. Can, like, maybe we fix it kind of thing. Not that hard to be an adult in this situation. So
Yeah.
the fact that, like, one, if you go on TikTok and you're posting like, hey, I like don't like my makeup and I can't wait to make a TikTok about this,
Sure.
right? Yeah, like you're posting mean girl energy. And that ain't
It's not
cool.
good.
And everyone knows it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
no one sided with her.
No, I don't
Nobody.
think one.
No
person
one. And you
sided.
want to know why? Because it looked identical to what the makeup artist did.
The
Like,
makeup
the
artist,
before
I think
and after.
Coralie Shears is her name.
Yeah.
Check her out. I mean, her work is beautiful, and the bride looked beautiful. And you know, it was a grossly missed the mark
It's just
situation.
It did not go the way you thought it was gonna go.
I hope she grows from it because at the end of the day, like, yeah, she was dead ass wrong. And like, say what you want about being 21, your frontal lobe isn't developed yet, but you are also like a person. I mean, my niece is 13. She would know you don't do that. You know what I mean? So I do hope that this was a lesson for her and people can say like, okay, she didn't kill someone, but like now we
like I'm
tweak
gonna
the
say,
behavior.
no death threats, y'all. Like
Yeah.
you know,
Don't
Well,
do
that's the only problem. Seeing people are like really mean and almost threatening.
people on the internet are
well,
ruthless.
well, that's the life of TikTok. Too.
Sure.
And like by the time this probably comes out, TikTok's probably going to be banned. So
Yes.
I mean, besides the point, but like it's
so gonna miss this.
I know. I miss. We love you, TikTok. Please come back to us.
Baby, don't leave.
I'm impartial to TikTok, but at the same point, it's very easy on TikTok to just become a troll,
For sure.
make an anonymous profile, comment, like have no followers, and just go out there to troll on somebody.
Well, you guys are no strangers to going viral on TikTok and Instagram, and you know that when that happens, you are subjecting yourself to like the absurdity that is the
Yeah.
internet and the crazy things that people will say. And
Go, you look at our comment section.
it's wild. It's wild to just skim through and be like, this is that they're talking about weddings.
Yeah.
Yes, it's weddings that this person is so upset about.
It's just
One of the recent ones that we posted was like colors, like that.
Yes, I love that video.
It was like colors people don't wear at weddings, or you shouldn't wear this color, right? And like we knew it was going to cause controversy, but I just remember going into the comments and being like, I am about to get flayed for this. But let me get to it first. I acknowledge
Yeah.
you're going to be mad at me.
you know what's wild though about that video, for instance, like, okay, so Instagram, she got flayed.
Yeah.
TikTok, people were like, she's right.
That's
oh
the
my
thing.
God. Like, it's such a weird difference in audience with social media sometimes.
TikTok was like, yeah, red is for hoes. And then Instagram was like, this bitch doesn't know what she's talking about.
It's weird, right? Like, it's such a weird. So I just think, like, maybe if she posted that on Instagram, it might not have gone viral. And then you
Yes.
post that on TikTok, and a lot of makeup artists are on TikTok. Like, they love their makeup artist content. They ran to this girl's defense.
Yes.
And you know what the swift karma I loved about this?
Tell us.
She just fucking blew up. What, she got 300,000 followers now? Like, I
The
hope
makeup
she-
artist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
she monetizes the shit out of her content before TikTok goes away and she gets paid, because that's a nice little bit of money. She had like 60 million views on a couple of videos. Fuck yeah. Make it
And you
bag,
know
girl.
what?
Yeah.
Make it bag.
You know what? She just seems so genuine too. And like her follow-up video to that, like she acknowledged that she was the makeup artist, and like watching it like broke my heart for her, because you could tell, she's keeping it together, and she's like, it's okay, I get it. And then you could hear her like voice breaking.
Yeah.
Like she was on the verge of tears, but she's doing her best. And I was
Yes.
just
Yeah.
like,
It was
This
really,
is
really
mean.
gracious. Yes, that's the thing. It's mean. Her response, though, I agree with you, is like she didn't have to come forward and say it. And when you're putting out something like that, it's like you want to be the one to say like, okay, it was me, and not someone else come in and be like, she was the one. And judging by the comments in the video, you just never know how people are going to react.
Yeah.
and
No.
insult your art. Like, what's more insulting than someone criticizing your art in like a mean way, not
an objective way.
exactly.
We saw this with Sepia-gate. It was the same thing.
Well, that's what it reminded me a lot of. And you two are kind of my Sepia-gate experts. So if anyone doesn't know or doesn't remember, it's sepia, not sepia, right?
It's-
I think it's both. I'm not gonna have this argument anymore.
Let's just say sepia.
Okay, sepia.
Tomato, tomato, people. It's
But
fine.
Sepia, whatever.
But we say sepia in this part of the country.
Okay, so tell people what Sepia Gate is.
Okay, so I'll break it down because I was an internet sleuth on this one.
You both,
I was out of town.
you were investigators.
Mike was on top of this.
The
You did the
second it
stuff-
happened.
You did an episode together about it, but then
Yes.
you interviewed
So I interviewed the
photographer.
Hannah is her name, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So all right. So breaking it down, like give you guys, if you weren't aware what Sepia Gate is, one, Google it. Okay, great entertainment. All right, but what it was a bride went on TikTok to complain about her wedding photos that had like a warmer tone to them. She got her photos back. She was unhappy with the results of her edits. The photographer provided her with a couple of raw photos. She then edited those raw photos to look a little bit more true to color. The warm tone was very representative of what the photographer's work was true in her portfolio. Like she didn't like change her style or anything like that for this bride or anything like that. So, like the artistic interpretation was still there. Like she did her work. The photos were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you looked at these photos, you'd be very proud that those were your wedding photos. But she went on TikTok, talked about like how the wedding photographer was unwilling to change the photos, even though the wedding photographer really did try to work with her. But once you get to a certain point, like there's really nothing you could do for the client. And the bride then kind of threatened to go on social media. In turn, she did go on social media, posted around 20 to 25 videos.
Oh my God, no! I feel like it was so much more.
It was probably
than
more.
that.
It was probably more. It could, like
She would say
she posts,
like
every day. So.
She would say like I'm done. This is my last one, and then like another 5 would come out, and you're like, girl, how long are we going to do this?
She's obviously enjoying the attention.
Sure.
And she was getting likes and everything like that, and people were siding with her. It was very split.
It was very polarized.
Unlike the makeup artist situation, this was very polarized.
Mm-hmm.
So, there were people like, why didn't she just change the edit? And the photographers rushing to the defense of the wedding photographer saying, hey, like, this is something that, like, this is artistic interpretation. This is like what we do contracts for. This is why it's there. And so it made a very polarized discussion. Well, during that whole time, the wedding photographer was silent, never posted, never replied, never anything like that. So I just took a shot. I shot her a DM. I'm like, hey, this is Mike from the vendor table. Like, I'd love to give you a platform just to like kind of share your side of the story. Would you want to come on? And I talked to her husband first. And her husband was like, we just want to make sure she's painted in a very good light and like, not taken advantage of. And I'm like, listen, like this is going to be a raw, uncut interview. I want her to feel comfortable, everything like that. I'm a wedding photographer. I see her point of view, but we want to kind of show the side of a wedding photographer here. And so we did. She came on the show. I interviewed her. She did a phenomenal job explaining.
Couldn't be a more gracious person, by the way. Your interview with her was so great. And she was just like, for having gone through that internet turmoil trauma, I was like, what a stud. She's really a class
She was a
act.
rock
She
star.
handled it with so much grace.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of us in that situation getting spit roasted on the internet would have fallen apart. Like she made it personal.
Yes.
It hurts. And when the biggest thing for us is there were so many people we were seeing in the comments that were like, oh, I hate this. They're so warm. And like, why can't she just change it? And it's like, that's what she booked.
Yes. And
You can hate it all you want. Then don't book that person.
why did you book her?
It's
Yeah.
buyer's remorse.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's our follow-up to that was we talked all about, raw photos, buyer's remorse, like everything that has to do with it. Like our artistic style clause is a big thing with wedding photographers. Like a lot of photographers have that in their contracts because we're not going to edit beyond the scope of what like our artistic style is. So like we're considered dark and moody photographers. Okay. If I booked a client and then the client came back after I delivered those photos and said to me, hey, I don't like these. I want you to edit them like light and airy, like this photographer does. Well, that's not what you paid me for.
That's when I send back a gif of like the guy with the question marks, like,
Why
What?
why me then? Pick someone who's more aligned with what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And no, I can't just change it because it's the integrity of my work. Like you own the rights to the photos, correct? So if someone, sees that album and it's not indicative of
it confuses potential clients.
absolutely, and it's not something that you're like proud to put out there.
No. And that's the other thing we talked about, like, you know, the ownership of raw photos. Like, a lot of people didn't understand the ownership of raw photos. And, like, kind of what happened was this photographer also gave the client some raw photos to, like, just, like, appease her. And that...
Which is pretty much unheard of.
Like, you really don't give raws. Like, she did offer the ability She gave the client the ability to purchase the raw photos. Like, one without copyright, which was $3,000, and then with copyright, which was $4,000. So with copyright means she owns the images. She can do whatever she wants with them. Send them to somebody, edit them, do whatever you want, like, and post them wherever you want. But without that copyright, you can't post them. So she was just like, oh, that's, you know, I already paid you for all this work and everything like that. You know, like, I don't want to pay any more money.
It also begs the question.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Like, it also begs the question, did you read your contract?
Yeah.
You know, we just got a post recently. I think I saw it in another Facebook group where it was just like the client messaged back the photographer and was like, I just skimmed it. Is there anything important in here that I need to know? Ma'am, that is a legally binding document.
You're signing your name to this. What the hell? I feel like my mother right now.
Read your fucking contract.
Every
Come on.
word. And if you don't understand the language, have a lawyer look it over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you guys know Leah Weinberg?
Yeah, I heard the name.
Yeah, she does a lot of vendor contracts, and she's awesome. She's been on the show, but we did a great episode where she just kind of talks about going through the contract, and even if you're not going to hire a lawyer, like, put it at minimum, put it through ChatGPT and say, like, is there anything legal, like every line by line,
anything.
And that's not legal advice, and I'm not a lawyer, but like, do your due diligence, please.
Read every clause, and if you have questions, ask the vendor.
Yes.
You know, ask the vendor to elaborate. And if they don't know what the hell it means, then red flag.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, ask them to elaborate, understand what you're signing.
100%.
Coming back after retroactively and being like, I don't like this, even though it's exactly what I booked. Can you re-edit it? Can I? Absolutely. Will I? Absolutely the fuck not.
Yes. Tell them, Lauren.
The best comparison I've ever heard was from our lawyer friend who gave this, okay? It was like, this was the best analogy I ever heard. So say you go and purchase a car, right? You go to a car dealership. Let's say luxury dealership, because it's we're promoting luxury weddings, right? Okay. And you go buy a Bentley, right? A white Bentley, okay? You take it off the lot, you purchase, sign all the papers, everything like that. You take it home, get it, like, put it in the driveway, all right? You get home, you get out of your car, you look at it, you're like, I don't really like that color anymore. So you take it back to the dealership and say to them, hey, I don't like this anymore. I want you to paint it red for free. So it doesn't work like that. That's called buyer's remorse. So the bride had that, and that's the point, like, that we tried to make is, like, read your contracts, people. Okay, realize that when you book a photographer, you're booking them not only for their shooting style but for their editing style as well.
Yes.
And if that means you have to meet with 10 or 12 different people until you find the one, do it.
Do it. Do it. Yes. Take your time. You have to love these. And guess what? If you don't love them, like, you'll be okay. Like, I mean, I hate to say that. It's important, and it's a lot of money, and I'm not knocking that. Like, I would be crushed. Let's be real. I would be, like, in a wall crying if I hated my wedding photos. But no, like,
there's so many things she could have did besides going on TikTok and making 20 to 30 plus videos ranting about this. And that's where people, like, I said she lost her audience. Is because if she didn't do that, like, she posted that one story, maybe one follow-up, I think people would have been more sympathetic to her. Okay. And then, like, the photographer gave her response, like, on our show and everything like that. I think you have two sides of the story. So take what side you want. Okay.
She couldn't help but show her true colors.
And I also, it's likes are contagious, right? Like, you know, like that, those views are contagious. And especially on TikTok when you can monetize. So that's the other part is, like, you know, I made that argument, like, okay, how much are you making from this? You know, like, are you monetizing your content? Like, you know, like, how much did you walk away from? And, like, she did say, I donated it to charity. I didn't see a receipt anywhere. So
I'd love
to see
the proof, baby. Show us the receipts.
Let's see receipts. I would love it.
So that's the
Make a TikTok about that. I'm about that.
And you know, personally, like, we've talked about this too. Hannah's style is not my preference. I personally, it's not my vibe. But she is entitled to edit that way and market to an audience that loves her style. She loves her style. That's what matters.
Yes.
So, like,
and so many others, like, a beach wedding. You know,
Yeah.
that's the vibe I get a lot from her.
We also had a lot of photographers on this issue who were just like, they paid you, just do it.
Yeah.
And like, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry.
Well,
Respectfully, no.
the thing I said is if you're a photographer and you're saying that, you don't get enough business
Correct.
to ever have a client like that.
I was going to say, good on her for standing up for herself and knowing her worth, because that's what it comes down to. And if you let people shit all over you.
Because where's the line?
Yeah.
How many times am I going to go back and forth re-editing an entire gallery of thousands of images to your specific tiny little requests?
No,
you know?
no. So I've been talking with a couple vendors who have had conversations about like, okay, now do we add social media clauses to our contracts? Do you guys have anything like that in there? Like you can't disparage us on social media or something like that?
No. And I mean, I think Mike and I are on the same page with this. Like, if you're unhappy with my services, you have every right to leave a review in a respectful way.
Yeah.
You know, there are clauses in our contracts about slander. I think everyone should have a clause in their contract about
slander's one thing, yeah.
slander
Yes.
and false representation and things like that. But in terms of social media, people are allowed to say what they want to say. If they were unhappy, which thankfully, knock on wood, I have not had an unhappy client in, I don't know, a really long time.
You've been doing
is
this for some time. You're seasoned, girl.
Yeah. I have like hundreds of very, very happy clients, thankfully, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But if somebody wasn't happy with their experience and they wanted to like write a review, they have every right to do that.
Sure.
As with any business.
Absolutely.
Does it hurt? Does it suck? Yeah. But
Can't overcome it though.
But it also is like a tool to help you grow if it is warranted.
Yes.
If there was something that you felt like that you really dropped the ball, that feedback, it's just constructive criticism in the end.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Absolutely.
If you want to give your vendor constructive feedback, like do it. Like it's the best that like I've gotten it before. I'll be straight up and honest. I've had a client like she didn't like the result of what she got back and everything like that, and I was like, okay, like let's talk about it, kind of thing, and we went back and forth, and like ultimately it was just I tried to make them happy, ultimately not, but like they didn't make a TikTok to blast me on that,
Right.
and like I don't know if I would have been as graceful as Hannah, because I would have probably been like, yo, here's the fucking receipt.
Yeah.
Bitch.
I think the way that Hannah handled it was the high road.
Yeah.
Yes.
She did the high road. I think maybe I might have been a little bit of a petty Betty.
You?
I don't know that I would have reacted the way that she did.
And in your defense, it would be really, really hard to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we get roasted all the time.
Oh,
Constantly.
About what?
Oh, so what not?
We're assholes with we don't know anything.
What haven't we?
Yeah, what
Adriana?
do you know?
What do these
We
two
have
idiots know?
constant trolls in our comments. Like we have a dude who legitimately disagrees with every
Everything.
post we make.
Shout out to him. Hi, thank you for the
Comments
engagement.
on everything.
Thanks, sweetie.
Everything. And I'm like,
Mike finally lost it.
I'm just like, yo, dude, enough. And then he tried to play martyr. And like we're like and he was like, oh my God, like you actually came at me? Like, oh my God. That's
Finally.
terrible.
Me?
It's like, oh, when someone actually calls you out for being
Bro.
a fucking douche.
Is he a
like,
photographer?
Yeah.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
yeah.
It's like
After a year of hearing you on every single post, like just say the opposite of what we're saying to say the opposite of what we're saying.
Sir.
it's just like just
You're exhausted.
start your own
It's-
fucking podcast.
Exactly. Oh my God. I love the have you ever gotten this one? They'll just give anyone a podcast. I'm like, yeah,
love
they
that.
will. They is me. I did it.
Yeah.
I'm the one
Yeah.
who gave
Podcast
What do you mean
equipment
they?
is too
Yeah,
cheap
who are
now.
they? Yeah.
They is me. That is
Podcasting equipment is just too
cheap.
damn cheap.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
just like go start your own.
Turn it off. Scroll past it. Like, if you don't like it, like, no one is forcing you.
No, but it's okay. Give me the engagement, baby.
Yeah, that's I love that shit.
Totally. So, okay, we talked a little bit about like the craziness of the brides on the internet. Have you guys, maybe not your photography clients, but have you ever experienced an unhinged couple or like family member that you can speak about without
Yes,
Getting in trouble.
but
I know Mike can.
I can, but I'm not gonna.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair because you are an active vendor.
Yeah.
Remember this.
We've all had. I think every vendor, if you're in the industry long enough, you probably have had an issue with somebody in the industry, or like a past client or a family member.
It could be a maitre d'.
Like I've had, like we have a blacklist. Like we all have. Vendors have blacklists.
Sure.
Vendors blacklists and stuff like that. So there have been maitre d's that I've had issues with. There have been videographers that I've had, planners, and
it's so rare.
It's very rare. Like I would say, oh my God, in the 300 plus weddings I've photographed for myself, I've had maybe 3 vendors that I absolutely despise and will never work with again. And I've probably had 2 people that were so nasty to me that I literally wanted to, I don't know, leave.
Yeah, punch them.
Or get a little physical. But I'm not going to do that. Anyway,
not on their wedding day. Another day.
Yeah, we've all had at least one in our career, and you just kind of at this point, nothing. I mean, I had one particularly bad situation of I still have the notes in my phone, and this is from oh my God, what year was this?
Oh, that one dude.
I think it was 27. No. 20. It was one of the last weddings. It was one of the last weddings that I shot for the studio. And this almost made me quit weddings. It was so bad. Yeah, it was the groom. And to this day, I think they're still married. And wow, good luck to this person. I mean,
don't you hate it?
They weren't technically my clients. It was the studio that I was working for, but it was horrific.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've never been. He didn't even speak to me poorly. It was everybody else.
Well, I'll see, video stuff online. It's like how to communicate with your vendors. Maybe just like a human being, don't berate them and act like a normal person.
Yeah, don't touch me either.
Yeah. The stakes.
Treat people like humans.
That's all. That's all. That's
all people.
It takes.
Just because you hired us for the day doesn't mean we're not people with emotions and feelings,
Correct.
Stuff like that. So it's like I'm respectful to you. Just be respectful to me. That's it.
Yeah, but it's like this toxic wedding bubble where, and this does not apply to most people, but there are some people who start to think the world does revolve around me. Everyone's giving me compliments and saying this is the best day ever. It's I'm not going to say what I want to say, but that's not true.
There's also a lot of vendors that do that too. So
hype people up.
The center of the world revolves around that.
There's a lot of ego in
especially with
the
wedding photographers.
Industry. Wedding photographers in particular.
Male wedding photographers.
Is that right?
Specifically male. I mean, I'm glad he acknowledged it too, because I'm not just an angry female, hate-filled woman.
It's easy when people are in your DMs hyping you up. And it's easy to get an ego, okay? But I will say this on a wedding day: check your fucking ego at the door.
That's it. You're part of a team to make this a productive, fabulous, wonderful event. You have to work with the other vendors, and this goes for all vendors, not just photographers. You have the same common goal. Let's make this a great day for this couple.
Play nice in the sandbox.
That's all. That's it. I know.
Everybody can have a turn.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Easy. It's easy.
It should be, right?
Just be a nice fucking person. It's not
Don't be
that
a garbage person. It's crazy.
Oh my God, just be nice. Fucking just be nice to somebody. You're there to service the needs of somebody's, of a day, right?
Yes.
As a vendor, okay? The world doesn't revolve around you.
No.
Okay, no one gives a shit you got 50,000 followers on Instagram.
No
one
that's,
cares.
That's great. That's a great testament to your work. But if you start acting like an asshole, okay, maybe you have 50,000 followers and beautiful photos. No one's going to want to work with you. Right?
No, we see that all the time. We see that. The CBA Gate thing was she booked her because she had a lot of followers and yes, they vibed and everything like that, but she was immediately attracted to the follower count. We say this all the time, but follower count does not fucking matter in the industry at all.
Oh my gosh. And it's something that we talk about here a lot, but if you don't jive with your vendors in initial consultation, speaking of them, you're going to hate them on your wedding day, and that's going to be just awful to deal with.
Yeah.
So in terms of couples, when they're getting ready to book their photographers, things like that, what expectations should they have for communication? Because I will sometimes have brides say, I haven't heard from my photographer. I'm like, well, you kind of don't need to hear from them right now. Your wedding's 8 months away and we're in this like limbo period. So what is a good expectation?
That's like a great question that no one asks because we get the
Yeah.
DMs now too. Like
You do.
people are like, I haven't heard from my photographer in 7 months.
Yeah.
And like we did we did an episode where it was like advice from couples to vendors. And that was a big one. Communication was a big one.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think in like when a couple signs on with you, when they sign the contract, they go through, they are booked, sending like some type of a guide of the expected timeline of when certain milestones are to be hit. So just to help them understand, this is when I'll be communicating with you for your engagement shoot. This is when you can expect to hear from me about your finals. Or, you know, if you have any questions along the way, shoot them to me, you know? But here are some like expected dates or a roundabout estimate of when I'll be reaching out to you for the next steps. Just to keep them informed from jump.
Yes.
And it's already pre-established.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're kind of hanging on like, when the hell am I going to hear from you again?
Right. And it's scary to a couple who's like, oh my God, like, are they not going to be? And this doesn't go for just photographers. I hear this complaint a lot about like any kind of vendor. Like, I haven't heard from this person. And I think it's important, yes, to set that precedent, like super important for vendors. But let's say, you know, my wedding is 3 months away and I haven't spoken to my photographer since my engagement shoot or something. What would you recommend to that couple if you haven't heard from them to reach out?
So, like Lauren said, like the expectations, everything like that. Like so for example, engagement shoot. Okay, that's usually the next phase after a couple signs. Like a lot of photographers offer that. I know we both do. Right.
Yeah.
So at the engagement shoot, after it's over, I break down the steps of what happens next. Right on that shoot.
Yeah.
Like I am a big communicator. So like the big joke is I'm a guides guy. Like that's like
We love a guide.
I love my guide.
I love a guide.
Big guides guy.
Lauren, are you a guides guy?
Deep
as
breaths,
well?
Lauren. I have one guide. One.
She's got one.
guide.
But she made a guide.
She made a guide.
I have a guide.
She's slowly becoming.
I got a guide.
She's becoming a
I'm
guides girl.
working on it. I'm only going to have one guide.
Okay.
It's got everything. That's what you get.
Just,
Got it all.
Just wait until you get into your next field. You're gonna be like,
Well, my
next guide.
the
There it
next
goes.
the next step for Lauren, I'm expanding. But
What
She's gonna make
Are
guides.
we sharing?
not yet.
Okay. Okay.
She's
Not
gonna
yet.
make guides. But so getting back to your question, like expectations, right? So when I sign a couple, right, and they sign on the dotted line, everything like that, I send them over a welcome guide, and the welcome guide kind of breaks down everything that's like what to expect on a day. Like just same thing with her, okay? And then I'm in communication with them. I have like through Honeybook, we have like kind of automation set up. Like so, like hey, checking in, see if you have any questions. Like I usually check in with my couple 4 to 5 times throughout the whole process. Like usually they sign a year and a half to a year prior to their date. So I'm always trying to check in. This is me personally.
Sure.
Do
Right. I don't check in as much as Mike does.
So
Yeah.
So this is me personally. I want to give my clients like an open door to me. Like I tell my clients all the time, like, hey, if you want to set up a call, you could call, like we'll set up a call. Like you want to chat with me, set up. Like I just had a bride call me the other day. Like she had questions on her timeline. I laid out her timeline, and she was just like, "Hey, I have some questions." I was like, "Hey, you want to set up a call? Like we could do one. Like I'm available tomorrow morning." Kind of thing. So I always give my couples an open window. So this is my thing that like couples like want to ask the vendor that like from the get-go. Like, hey, like, do I have an open door with you? Like, what can I expect for communication? Vendors, I think, should also tell their couples what they should expect in terms of communication.
Yeah.
So, all right, hey, I'm not going to see you until your engagement shoot, okay? But if you need anything, check in, okay? Or, hey, like, after your engagement shoot, hey, like, we might not chat until 2 weeks before your wedding, but if you have any questions, let me know.
Sure.
Personally, I'm like, after your engagement shoot, 4 months out from your wedding day, we're building your timeline, okay? 2 months out, I'm doing a check-in, like, hey, everything's still good. 1 month out, I'm sending, like, a guide for, like, you know, what to have ready for me, okay? Like, items to have ready for me for, like, the prep, the details.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks out, we schedule your final call. Then we have a final call. and like final call's 15 minutes, and then wedding day they get a text from me, hey, happy wedding day, let's rock and roll, you know, kind of thing. And then they know in their contract that, hey, I get photos back in this window, I get all this stuff. So that's me personally. I maybe I over communicate here, but personally my clients love that experience.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to be a wedding vendor, especially today where everybody needs their hand held, right?
Yes.
Communicate.
I also think it's like couples need to understand that it's okay to not hear from your vendor for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
We do book like a lot of events. So we are in communication with many couples all at the same time. But if you don't hear from your photographer for an extended period of time, it's okay to reach out and check in with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay. Don't be afraid to do that.
Sure.
Don't feel like you're bothering them. You're not. You signed a contract. You paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can talk to them.
Yeah.
If they don't respond to you, that's when you have issues.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, we say in the industry a lot, trust your vendors. And I firmly believe that, but like also give your clients a reason to trust you.
Right.
And when you're booking vendors, this is a message to brides, like go with your gut. If you feel like this person hasn't gotten back to your initial inquiry email in a long time and they were very passive, that's probably a good indicator of how they're going to treat you through the process.
Yeah. That's it. It's, you know, I think as a vendor, you need to lay out your expectations, you know, and what couples should expect. Like we talked about, like, hey, if you're a slow to email responder, put in your email signature, you know, like expect a reply in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
I also put it right over my contact form.
Yeah.
You know, like these are my business hours.
Smart.
Expect a response in 24 hours. You know, all of these, just put it where they're going to see it.
Yes.
Yeah. And that way it's a little more clear. And that's a good way to like say, if you are inundated, okay, like at least you're letting your clients know in some way, shape, or form that, hey, it might take me a little bit to get back to you. But also, vendors, don't fucking ghost your fucking couple.
Don't you hate being ghosted? Why would you do that to your couples?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And there is a specific category of vendor, and it's not photographers and it's not planners. And I'm not going to say who it is because it doesn't apply to all of them. But maybe you guys know what I'm talking about, who are notorious for just not responding to their couples.
Yeah, I know. Do you want me to guess? Do you want me to guess right now?
I don't know. I was scared to
Because
say
you
it.
don't want to confirm.
I'm scared to say it. Yeah, I don't want to
I know who it is.
Okay. we all
Off
know
air.
who it is.
Off air. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
I'm clueless.
I'm not.
How did I know?
Okay.
Okay, let's get back to photography.
Okay.
So what about delivery times? What's a good expected delivery time for your previews and for your full gallery?
That's photographer dependent. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough because, I mean, I tried to do like a day or two, 48 hours after
That's
the wedding to do sneak peeks. Can't do it.
No,
I just
no,
can't.
that seems crazy to me because when you see what your photographer turns out and how much goes into it, the editing and everything, even a preview of 40 photos, it's like that's a lot.
I mean, we know some photographers who like
Next
not even next day. We have some people who are
That
culling
day.
during dinner, and I'm just like,
You text
When I have time.
one photo, 2 photos. I never do that. Like that's kind of for me. It's I say teasers within 7 days.
Okay.
Okay, and
Fair.
usually teasers are 50 to 100, which is 10% of somebody's gallery sometimes, and then full galleries. Now with AI helping and all that stuff, it's 6 to 8 weeks. But I know photographers turn around full galleries in 2 weeks. I know 1 week. I know some are 3 to 6 months, you know, like it's honestly, if they lay it out, it's, you know, it could be that. It's very photographer, like,
but it's
depends on the
important.
photographer.
It's important for the photographer to be transparent about it. Like my turnaround time is 8 to 10 weeks during peak season, but I generally deliver earlier than 8 weeks.
Same,
Yes.
yeah.
But I think it's just outlining those expectations right away. And if you're looking at a photographer and like one of the criteria for you is that they can get your photos back to you earlier, that's not it.
Yeah.
You know?
No. I mean, ideally, you'll have these for a long, long time. You really just want to like rush it and
No. Like, you know, Mike and I will go through every single photo in the gallery
one.
and get rid of distractions. Like I remember, going through my bride had a hole in her veil, and we didn't realize it until afterwards.
Damn.
And I was like, damn, I got to edit this hole out of this veil in like
Yeah.
35 pictures.
Okay, well, another question for you. What is expected in a photography edit? Like, let's say, my belly's having a moment and it's and I want it shaved down. That seems excessive.
That's excessive.
Also photographer specific, which is, I personally, I don't edit people's bodies. That's just,
Same.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
What if they ask you to? It's a blanket statement, like that's just not something that I do, kind of thing.
So I know her stance. Editing, for instance, for just general edit, I think what most people could expect from a photographer, a wedding photographer, is likely like a color corrected edited photo. So that's like applying their base look to it. Okay, some photographers will take it to the next level. Like say we're in the city, for example. Okay, and you have people on the steps of like
the Met.
Like the Met, yes, okay. Maybe like for one shot, they'll edit those out for like the hero shot, the highlight shot. But maybe they'll send 10 proofs. They won't do it for those, but maybe if you request one, like, hey, I really like this one instead of the hero shot, can you edit the people out? Sure.
Okay.
So there's certain things like body changes and things like that. I've done maybe 3 in my career at request.
Yeah.
Because the bride, say, didn't like her arms.
Yeah.
Okay. Or something like that. She loved the photo, didn't like her arm.
Or like sometimes, I mean, you can't relate to this because you're not a lady, but like when I'm wearing something sleeveless, my armpit just is like.
Yeah. Like
the pit boob.
Yeah, the pit boob. What is that?
I know.
Why is that a thing?
I know.
Being a male in this industry is a lot of fun. People. The terms you learn.
Pit boob.
It's hard for me. I did shoot boudoir for several years, so I've learned to like really pay attention to those details with women specifically, so that I don't have to do those things.
Yeah.
It's so deeply embedded in me that it's not that I can't, it's that that's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want you to love you.
Yes.
When it comes to things that are temporary, like blemishes, bruises, I have no problem removing those things.
Yeah. Especially if they say to you, like, on the wedding day, like, hey, I have a pimple here.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to see that? I'll be more conscious of that if you let me know. Like, I might not pose you on that side as much.
Yeah,
or I might shoot a little from distance. Or if we do a close-up, I know to remove that kind of thing. So I'm always conscious of that myself. I know she is too. So
I have had so few requests for that level of retouching post that it's just, I feel like once you start shooting and you have now amassed the experience of shooting hundreds of weddings, you start paying attention to where you're shooting. Like, is there a garbage can or a propane tank in the background? Let's not shoot there. So you kind of avoid these situations to begin with.
Yes.
And that's why it's important to have a seasoned photographer who knows these things or pays attention to those little details.
Yeah.
But if it ever becomes necessary, like I don't touch people's skin until they tell me they want me to.
Same.
But I leave that option on the door for them. Like,
Okay.
These are the things that are included in your full gallery. At request, we can make changes.
yeah.
Within reason.
Yeah.
And within my ability.
Yeah. Like,
Because some requests are crazy.
yeah. Like, I think if you're expecting
Somebody asked me recently if I could Photoshop a Ford Bronco into a photo for them because they liked Ford Broncos.
No.
And I was like, can I?
What?
Probably. Is it going to look real? No.
That's like that account of like, oh, can you get rid of my I'm butchering it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Someone will put on Reddit like,
yes.
Oh
You know
my God,
what
that's
I
my
mean.
favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Can you Photoshop like the guy in the background, like, or something like that, or like, can you Photoshop me holding a glass so it's like,
Yeah.
they'll photograph like them with like a chalice. Or
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
That's like the Ford Bronco thing. It's
Yeah.
like, no.
Nar.
What?
Like, we just really love Ford Broncos. I'm like, do you have one? No? Okay.
No.
What?
No.
I did not book that client.
Uh,
We weren't a good
yeah,
fit.
yeah. I would gather that. Whew, okay. All right. Well, I had so many more things that I wanted to talk to you about, but in the Penis Podcast fashion, we just can gab all day with each
I
other.
know.
And I love it. And it's so fun. And it's just another reason.
2-hour episode?
Let's fucking go. Yes. All right. We're renting more studio time. No. So I do want to get to two things with you.
Okay.
I want to get to our premarital counseling session because I liked this one. I thought you guys would give good advice. And then if we have time, we'll do our after party. I know you guys have done it before, but I think I've tweaked some questions since you've been. So, all right. Our premarital counseling session is a segment where we just give advice to brides who write in. You can email any of your questions and queries to Adriana at the-pre-nup.com or podcasts at lovestoriestv.com. We always keep it anonymous and we always pick a fun name. And I usually end up calling the person Sally Joe anyway, but we'll call this person Melanie.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, Melanie.
Are you guys ready?
Okay, go ahead.
Born ready.
All right. Melanie says, SOS. I have been a member of a church that I love for a long time. It's very important to my fiance and myself that we marry in this church. We met with our pastor recently who informed us that he will not permit our photography or videography during our wedding so as to not make a spectacle of the sanctity of our union. Oof. I'm devastated that we will not have footage of one of the most important moments of our lives. Any advice on how to handle this? Arnar, Pastor.
Arnar.
Please change your mind.
All right, first initial thought, don't get married in the church. That's me.
That would be my.
I mean, when I have a thing in my contract, you have to abide by house rules. Okay, so like that's if you're photographing at a location, whether it's a church, a reception hall, something like that, and they have a house rule, you follow the house rules.
Sure.
Okay, so if a church doesn't allow photography, but you want photography, well, something's got to get sacrificed here.
Yep.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's either your church or
Your photos.
your photos.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is no alternative here.
Yeah.
Like you either get the church ceremony that you want or you get the photos. We cannot do anything.
Nothing we can do.
No.
No.
And I've encountered this before, actually. So there,
You have?
Yeah, I have, yes. What they ended up doing was getting married in their church on a separate day.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we did their ceremony somewhere else.
Oh, I like that idea
Yeah.
a lot.
A lot of couples are doing that now where they'll get married the day before at their rehearsal. Okay.
Mhm.
So they get married at their church, do a rehearsal dinner and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and then do their vow renewal
Sure.
on site.
Mhm.
Sure.
So at their venue. And in turn, it actually saves them a little bit of time, money, planning, all that stuff. So that is a good alternative.
That's solid.
It's kind of the only thing you could do. I mean, if it's very important to you that you get married in this church, which, people of faith, it is very important where you get married. What I think is fucking ridiculous is that this pastor or priest finds photography of this occasion to be a spectacle.
Yeah. I always, there are some clergy members, I'll call them, who...
Oh, the Catholic Church. You could say it, Adriana. Come on.
I talk
You're
too
not-
much shit on the Catholic Church here, Michael. I'm getting in trouble with my dad.
Well, I mean,
I've been getting in trouble because
So is the Catholic Church.
I be talking shit on the Catholic Church. And listen, there are amazing, wonderful Catholics, and this is not an attack on Catholics. I was raised Catholic as well. I'm Catholic, and I think it's great if you are, but like there's certain things that my mom calls them like Catholic school rules. I went to Catholic school, and there were some like you couldn't have your nails painted.
I know.
Why?
I remember.
There's no reason. Like,
Is that in the Bible? Is it in the Bible?
yeah,
Is it in the Bible? Yeah.
Jesus said no lacquer
no
on the
nails.
nail. Yeah.
I'm the same way. So like one, okay, we're gonna abide by house rules.
Sure.
Okay, that's who we are as vendors. We're like, we'll do
You
that.
respect it. It's fine.
Okay. Do I agree with it?
No.
Yeah.
Like 100% no. I
Spectacle? Are you fucking kidding me? This is the one day where it is a spectacle.
Come on.
Let it-
Yeah.
But the photo and video team is not the one making it a spectacle. It's you, bro.
Would you say this it goes over the line. So if a bride said like, "Can you talk to this pastor and let them know?" Like,
I would
Oh,
never.
hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
yeah, I would say
Never.
that is not.
That's
a
their
good
house,
idea.
man. It's not my house.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I would cite my contract. Be like, as a vendor, I'm going to abide by half
Now, if
the
a
rules.
priest told me what to do outside, like if an officiant was
throwing
like,
hands.
"Yeah, we're throwing hands."
Yeah, there was a TikTok.
This just happened.
Did you see that TikTok with the bald pastor who there was a videographer like behind the
He
couple?
stopped the ceremony.
Yes,
Stop the
this
ceremony?
ass.
Like, like you're like, okay, you
You are
are
not in a church.
one, and stop acting like you're God because that's how you're acting.
Yeah.
Like because
Not very Christ-like.
Not very Christ-like.
no, it's we get it's a sanctity of marriage and everything like that, but at the same point, the couple hired people to capture or do something for them for that day, right? Respect that.
Yeah.
It doesn't revolve around you.
Correct. And that, like, listen, I get that for a priest or pastor, I don't know about other religions, but in the Catholic Church, marriage, in addition to being like a union, is a sacrament as well. So there's that side of it. But as you guys said, it's house rules, and there are other priests that let you do it.
Yeah.
Like, why
Yeah.
are you being a hard ass?
Sometimes it comes down to the priest. It's not even the venue. It's
Well,
the
it
priest.
does.
Absolutely.
I've told this story on the podcast before, so I'll make it really brief and quick. But people who listen know, like, I have beef with the priest who married Jake and me. We now call him Father Bill for privacy purposes, but not for our wedding, but for a couple I know who got married after us. He told them that they can't have their first kiss. They don't do that anymore. Absurd. Come on.
What?
I know.
You know what's? I'm gonna tell a really funny story.
Say it.
I am not Catholic, and to be honest with you, I'm surprised I have not burst into flames upon entering a Catholic church. But I listen to audiobooks, and sometimes I'd be listening to those audiobooks before the shit gets started. Baby, these are not kosher books. I'd be listening to some smut in church.
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
I'm just saying I just think it's ridiculous. Like capturing the photo and video of a couple getting married is not a spectacle.
No.
You know
it's
what
not.
is? All the people with their cell phones out doing it anyway.
Bingo. Yeah. You're not going to stop people from. Aunt Sally's going to be like getting a lopsided photo. Let's get the good photographer in there and tell them maybe, okay, you can't be up on the altar.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's
We
fair.
always check in with the officiant beforehand to see what we are allowed and not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Some churches are more strict than others.
And others will welcome you to every corner of the
Yeah.
church. Like
Yeah.
most of a Catholic church, most of the time you're not allowed in the sanctuary. Okay, so that's on the altar, right? But some churches, they're like, there's a back door. We're gonna open it for this time, and the couple wants a reverse shot.
Yeah.
I've
And
been
they'll let you do it.
Yeah, I've been
Right.
invited by the priest on the altar for the first kiss to stand where the priest is standing and get that reverse shot.
That's
because
awesome.
The couple wanted it. So sometimes it depends on the church, the priest, things like that. So, maybe if your church is giving you a little bit of hard time here, a little bit, maybe it could be that priest.
Yeah.
Like it could be the church itself, but
Yeah.
sometimes it comes down to the pastor or the priest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've gotten like crazy lists of rules and stuff, and then like and you're thoroughly prepared to follow and abide all these rules, and it may be restrictive, but at least you're allowed to photograph the ceremony. But then you get there, you introduce yourself to the priest, and they're like, oh yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't go past this pew.
I need to counter all of my statements with the fact that, like, I've dealt with some of the most wonderful, fabulous priests and pastors and religious figures.
They're
Like,
big fans of the podcast. I know
big,
that.
big fans of the pod.
Like there are some like horrible people that we've worked with at churches, and then there are some that are just so lovely.
Yeah.
There's also one
yeah.
guy, he's young and hot, and
Young hot priest.
I am dying to work at that church again.
Ooh-hoo-hoo.
Young hot priest.
Oh my gosh, that's like that episode of Sex and the City with Samantha and the friar. She wants to like sleep with the. He's like a
Everyone
monk
wants
or
to sleep with
something.
everybody.
Over my head.
Sure does. Okay. And then last segment I want to get to is our after party. And this is just like a little rapid fire. So You guys can choose the order. Who wants to answer? Ladies first? Lauren
Ladies
first?
first.
Sure.
Yeah.
I said you guys could choose, and then I chose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, first question. What is your honeymoon hotspot?
Ooh, I want to go to like Bali.
Sexy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was gonna
Really?
say. Yeah,
Damn.
like the Maldives. Like I want one of those fucking huts on the water. Really cool.
Yes, and just
Really cool.
vegetate for
Yeah.
5 days.
I want like I want to like one of those like the holes you see the fish in and shit.
Yeah.
I want some culture.
Yeah.
I want some scenery. I want to go someplace I have never been before. Bali.
Yeah, I went to
Love it.
Hawaii, so like Hawaii was beautiful and had
Gorgeous.
a lot of things to do and stuff like that. But I think I'd splurge and go to like French Polynesia.
Oh, hell yeah.
hell yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, gorgeous. Number 2, what song will get you on the dance floor at a wedding?
Titi Me Pregunto by Bad Bunny.
Oh, I am so embarrassed. What is this?
Oh my God. It's Bad Bunny.
He's very cute, that Bad Bunny.
There is something about that beat. I swear it turns me into like, it makes me feral.
I love it.
I
love
can't.
it.
I would have said something else if I just had my first wedding of the year on Saturday and it came on and I was just like, that's it. I'm off. I'm out. I was dancing. So
It's over, hose.
that's the one. What about you?
Oh, I'm like one. I need a little alcohol to get on the dance floor. So usually like right after dinner is when I'm feeling good, and usually what starts right at like a little like Backstreet Boys. I want it that way. I need a sing along to bring me on there,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I'll get like really into it, and then like the lights go down, and like I feel like I'm the best dancer in the world. I am horrible dancer. So I need alcohol. Alcohol is my best friend on a wedding because if I'm going to dance, like my wife's a big dancer. She's a great dancer, amazing dancer. She makes me look better than I am.
Love that.
But when I'm drunk, I'm like, yeah.
I think the only time that I can dance on beat is when I'm drunk. When I'm
Yeah.
sober, I can't.
I'm too in my head or something.
Unless, you saw me the last wedding that I went to as a guest. I was probably
I
not,
saw
not on
you.
beat at all.
You didn't see you.
That's what I love to see. I want that. I want you seeing Lauren not seeing herself.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a lot of content of Lauren. From that
I'm giving
wedding.
the finger to everyone.
Can we get some of this on the vendor table Instagram?
It's been posted to
Okay,
the story.
okay.
Yeah, I was working, being professional.
I got invited.
Okay.
And it was black tie.
Girl, you got to do what you got to do. You got to throw it down. Okay, number 3, what hors d'oeuvre will you never pass up?
That's a great question.
Oh my
I know mine. You go ahead.
No, you go first.
Really?
Yeah.
What can I pass up? Sushi. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like if there is a cocktail hour with sushi.
Are we talking cocktail hour or are we
Cocktail
talking
hour.
past order?
Both.
Okay, well, cocktail hour. If they have a sushi bar, I'm getting sushi. Okay,
yeah.
like I'm a sushi freak. I love sushi.
So
okay?
Look
damn
at that.
good.
But like if they're coming around, okay, with like a past order, you know what? Okay, the little shooters of tomato soup with the grilled cheese sandwich.
How dare they do that to us?
So good.
I love a rice ball.
Rice balls are good. They're hard to eat though standing.
No, I can eat
They're-
anything
'cause
standing.
they give you the little fucking fork and you're trying to do this and it doesn't fucking
Oh no, you
work.
just pop the whole
No,
sucker
but
in your mouth.
the ball slides across the plate. I'm just saying. I know my cocktail hour.
Oh yeah.
I also die for a mac and cheese station, like
Yeah.
with different types of mac and cheese.
Mashed potato bar.
Mashed potato bar. I can't just choose one.
No, cocktail is where it's at. Like that's where I'm filling up. I'm getting
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
a little
But
bit
I mean,
on the
here it's
cocktail.
different.
Yeah.
It's very different in New York, New Jersey. If you're outside of there, you probably eat like you're not at the Old Country Buffet and you're
Yeah.
normal
You're just
human.
eating like
Yeah.
a sad, warm cheese plate.
Yeah, you don't just get a cheese plate here. You get some good shit.
You get it all. Get married in Jersey or New York.
I
Just
love
do it.
cocktail hour. I'm so hungry.
It's so I know we're eating after this. Okay, what is your signature cocktail or mocktail?
I know mine. Go ahead. You know yours?
Scotch on the rocks, baby.
Oh,
Scotch on the rocks.
okay. Espresso martini. all
Okay.
night. Like, all right. I love an espresso martini, like for dinner. Okay. I love that. But like, really, like Tito soda. Like, I'm very basic.
Gorgeous.
Basic
If
bitch.
it's not a Scotch on the rocks, it is a gin and tonic.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I love
I'm
it.
super simple.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm an old man.
Yeah.
apparently.
No, a sexy old man.
You know what though? You know what? So I only have it in the winter.
Okay.
My favorite drink of all time. I only have it in the winter. Is a White Russian. Okay.
Oh, White Russians are so
They
good.
are yummy, but you can't have a lot. That's the only thing.
No, you can have like two. You
Yeah.
can only have like two because
Yeah.
otherwise you get one, you get toasted, and two,
So-
lactose. Woo.
Oof.
Okay. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Holy
Not
lactose.
great. Not great.
They
But
are so delicious.
they are
So
so
goddamn good.
delicious. Mhm.
All right, guys. Last question I have for you is one practical piece of advice that you could give to any couple planning their wedding.
I got mine.
Go.
Okay. Inquire early, and don't wait to book them.
Love it.
Just don't sit on it. Don't say like even if they say, oh, I'll give you 2 weeks to get back to me. Get back to them quick. Like meet with other vendors if you haven't already and stuff like that. But don't think they're gonna wait around for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like because we are in the like I guess the wedding gap is slowly starting to come back, but we are seeing a little slower booking as vendors and stuff like that. It's still there's popular dates and
Without a signed contract and deposit, you're beat. Like,
Yeah.
So if you really like that vendor, don't wait.
Mhm.
Don't wait on them. That's it.
But also love your vendors.
Yes.
Like, do not half-ass your vendors. Full-ass your vendors. Love them.
full ass.
Full-ass your vendors. Like, make sure that you love everything about your vendors, from communication to personality to the work, everything.
Yes. Especially the ones you're gonna be with all day.
Right.
Absolutely.
Your photo, video, your entertainment,
Planner.
your planner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big one.
If you don't vibe personality wise,
It's gonna
it's gonna
suck.
be a long day for you, and
They
a
could
long day
have-
on the best day of your life.
They can have
That's
so
what we
many
want.
amazing reviews, and like if your personalities clash, it's gonna suck. You're gonna have a sucky experience. So just make sure that you love your vendors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, that is our time.
Oh, no.
I know.
Oh,
I know. It went
no.
so fast. Obsessed with you both. I could have you every time. Where can everyone find you guys and the vendor table?
You can find me at LaurenO'BrienPhoto.com and Lauren O'Brien Photo and the Feral Photog on TikTok if it's still around. I don't think it's gonna be there.
We love you, TikTok.
Oh no.
And Mike, where can they find you?
At Michael Cuisaro Photo on Instagram, TikTok, as well as my website. And you could find us at the Vendor Table Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever the hell you get your podcasts to.
And you can find me on all socials at _pre_nup. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Love you
Thanks
right
for
back.
having us. We love you.
Thanks for tuning into the Pre Nup. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform or on the Love Stories TV YouTube channel. Follow at _pre_nup and at Love Stories TV on Instagram for more. Have feedback or suggestions for the next episode? Feel free to reach out to us at podcasts@lovestoriestv.com.